Enforcement of human rights law. Human rights law is enforced by domestic courts by interpreting and applying legislation, as well as through judicial review and access to the European Court of Human Rights. Role of domestic courts. Domestic courts are national courts within the UK where legal disputes are resolved and where human rights are interpreted and enforced. Interpreting and applying human rights. Domestic courts play a crucial role in interpreting human rights law by using Section 3 of the Human Rights Act 1998 to read legislation in a way that is compatible with rights provided by the European Convention of Human Rights, as seen in Gaydon v. Godin-Mendoza. Domestic courts also consider decisions from the European Court on Human Rights when interpreting legislation to ensure consistency with Convention principles. Domestic courts therefore ensure that legislation is understood in a way that upholds individual rights wherever possible. Domestic courts play a key role in applying human rights law by directly applying Convention rights in cases brought before them under the Human Rights Act 1998, as demonstrated in RVA. Domestic courts assess whether public authorities have acted in a way that is compatible with human rights and can provide remedies where breaches occur. Domestic courts therefore ensure that individuals can rely on their rights in real legal disputes. Enforcing human rights. The mechanisms within domestic courts for enforcing human rights before the year 2000 were limited to indirect methods such as common law and statutory interpretation. The common law mechanism involved judges developing legal principles that protected fundamental rights. This helped enforce human rights law by allowing courts to protect liberties, as shown in Intick v. Carrington. The statutory interpretation mechanism involved courts interpreting legislation in line with fundamental rights where possible. This helped enforce human rights law by enabling courts to avoid interpretations that infringed rights, as seen in RV Secretary of State for the Home Department ex parte Sims. The mechanisms within domestic courts for enforcing human rights after the year 2000 were expanded under the Human Rights Act 1998 to include Section 3 interpretation, Section 4 declarations of incompatibility, and Section 6 duties on public authorities. The Section 3 interpretation mechanism requires courts to interpret legislation as closely as possible to the European Convention on Human Rights. This helped enforce human rights law by allowing courts to uphold rights without overturning legislation, as shown in Gaydon v. Godin-Mendoza. The Section 4 declaration of incompatibility mechanism allows courts to declare that legislation is incompatible with the European Convention on Human Rights. This helped enforce human rights law by prompting Parliament to amend legislation, as demonstrated in Bellinger v. Bellinger. The Section 6 mechanism makes it unlawful for public authorities to act in a way that is incompatible with the European Convention on Human Rights. This helped enforce human rights law by allowing individuals to challenge unlawful actions, as seen in Aston Cantlow v. Wallbank. Judicial review. Judicial review is the process where the courts supervise the actions of public authorities to ensure that they act lawfully and in accordance with human rights. Judicial review enforces human rights by allowing individuals to challenge decisions of public authorities that go against the European Convention on Human Rights, which is allowed by the Human Rights Act 1998, as seen in RV Secretary of State for the Home Department ex parte Daly. Judicial review also involves the courts assessing whether a public authority has acted unlawfully, irrationally, or disproportionately in breaching human rights. Judicial review therefore provides an effective domestic remedy by enabling courts to uphold rights and hold public bodies accountable. The European Court of Human Rights. The European Court of Human Rights is an international court based in Strasbourg that hears cases concerning alleged breaches of the European Convention on Human Rights by member states. Bringing a case to the court. The procedure for bringing a case before the European Court of Human Rights involves an individual first being dissatisfied with all domestic remedies within their national courts before submitting an application to the court in Strasbourg, where the application is assessed for admissibility against strict criteria. The criteria for admission for a case to the court is that the applicant must be a victim of a violation, must have exhausted all domestic remedies, must apply within the required time limit, and must present a claim that has some merit to it. The procedure then requires the court to consider written submissions from both parties and, in some cases, hold a hearing before reaching a judgment on whether there has been a breach of the European Convention on Human Rights. The procedure concludes with a binding judgment, where the court may award just satisfaction and require the state to take steps to remedy the violation. The court's guiding principles. The guiding principles of the European Court of Human Rights include subsidiarity, meaning that national courts have the primary responsibility for protecting rights under the European Convention on Human Rights. The guiding principles also include the margin of appreciation, where states are given some discretion in how they apply rights depending on their legal and cultural context. The guiding principles further include the idea that rights must be practical and effective, ensuring that individuals can genuinely exercise their rights in real situations. Thank you for watching this video on the enforcement of human rights law. I'll see you in the next one.